Let's take a comfortable seat where you can be at rest in yourself for the next few minutes. This morning I'd like to practice moving towards a more complete inhalation. Some of you have told me that, of course, during the fires and the smoke and the air pollution, a lot of difficulty with breathing, but also difficulty from angst and overwhelm and all the news that's going on. So please sit comfortably just to sense what's happening now, and then we'll sense how it unfolds during the practice also. So you can rest your hands in your lap. You're welcome to close your eyes or just bring your gaze downward and inward. And come into the part of you that is able to welcome yourself and the experience of life just as it is right now. So the part of you that is grounded, courageous, maybe more expansive, has a wide latitude for whatever you're experiencing, and has that attitude without judgment, without coercion or manipulation. And to tap into this part of yourself, which actually is a much larger part than we might sense. In yoga we call it the Ananda, that benevolent presence. Beyond the word part, it's really your essential nature. So when you tap into that, you may have to sift through some of the munchkins of the mind, or the other parts, the ones that are vying for attention, asking for healing, needing to understand. Of course, those are also in there. But try to come into the central experience of your own benevolence, your capacity to welcome what is happening within you. And then your capacity to be present with what is happening around you. To connect with this essential aspect of what it is to be human, start using your breath longer, smoother, and think of it as the vertical plane where the breath is happening. So the inhale starts in the pelvis and it becomes concentrically a little bit wider up towards the heart and the collarbones. You can imagine a lift that goes up through the crown of your skull. And the exhale also begins at the pelvic floor and then the deep low belly, and we just gently usher the breath out to its gentle completion. Sometimes I like to say as if you're breathing up and down the central channel, and you can kind of sense where the breath may get stuck or where it has smoothness. And by gathering this information, bringing it into your awareness, now from the wisest and most compassionate part of yourself, we proceed in the practice. And join your hands together at your heart. And we'll chant Asatoma Sadgamaya. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Hari Om. With your exhale, you may bow your head to your heart. Release your hands. Please open your eyes. And we're going to start our practice actually with the two long folded blankets, which you're going to see here on the floor in my room. Let me set up my other camera. So those two blankets, I'd like you to fold them. And I'll just shift the camera view just a moment. There we go. So we're going to use them for a little bit of opening in the upper back, and it may be a little bit confusing how you see them, but they are narrow, and I'll show that more clearly in just a moment. So this is, as many of you actually already know, but just a reminder, when you open up a blanket from the storage fold like this, I'm folding this in half, long side to long side twice. So they are two long, narrow blankets like this. Right? And I'd like you to lay this down neatly on your yoga mat. It's going to be helpful to have a block nearby in the event that your upper back is a little bit stiff. Okay, so then I'm going to ask you to lie backwards so that when you place your upper back on the blankets, you can check in going overhead. Check and see that you could take the arms overhead, or you could take the arms out into a T shape, and that the sternum is the highest point in this process. Now, a couple options. If this is too high of a back bend for you to start, try only one blanket, or keep the two blankets and place your Flintstones pillow. That's what I like to call that. You're using a block. Your Flintstones pillow goes under your head. And for some of you, that's going to add to your capacity, because if your upper back and thoracic spine are not that limber, sometimes the neck tries to make up the difference, like this, and that doesn't help the thoracic spine to become more open. So whichever you're needing, I'm going to ask you then to stretch the legs out straight, reach actively through the backs of your heels, reach your arms overhead, and reach long in both directions, and try to sense the plumb line of the breath now up and down what I just called the central channel. So begin your inhale at the base of your pelvis, pelvic floor, lower belly, and gently bring the breath up into your heart and your collarbones. And then exhale from the deepest part of the pelvis, so pelvic floor, deep low belly, just above the pubic bone. And then mid-low belly, you're moving up towards the navel. And then you might sense like under the ribs, where these transverse abdominis muscles and some of the obliques come in to help you with the exhale. And do that one more time, please. So you're really noticing the inhale comes up to the heart and the collarbones, and I'm recommending the exhale be in the first and middle third of the torso. Now take your arms out into a T shape, bend both knees, and actively press your shoulders down towards the floor, whether you have a block under your head or not. So press the shoulders back and down over the backside of your blanket there, and give a good squeeze of your shoulder blades. And then release that squeeze. Raise both arms just a couple inches off the floor. Stretch them actively. And then press your shoulders down towards the floor. Lay the elbows down and the backs of your wrists and knuckles. Now let's do it this way. Inhale, raise both arms, stretch them long. Exhale, press both shoulders back, elbows back, wrists, knuckles. And one more time. Inhale, reach both arms long. And exhale, press both shoulders down. Shoulders, the back of your elbows, forearms, wrists, and knuckles. Now, you can keep the block under your head or place a block under your head and roll onto your right side. Bring your knees up towards your chest and stretch the left arm overhead. The right arm can just go out straight like this. So what we're going to do on the inhale, the left knee is up towards the chest, and on the exhale, you're going to stretch it long. So when you inhale, bring your left knee in to your chest and broaden the back of your body and the left hemisphere of the body. And then exhale and reach from your left psoas out through your left heel. Inhale, bring your knee up and in. Exhale to reach. One more time, inhale, glide in. And exhale to reach out. Now for some of you, it might be that your left inner foot does not reach the floor right now, and for others it's going to touch down. If it doesn't reach, keep your left leg long and strong. Even if it does reach, keep it long and strong. Reach through your left arm. And imagine following the pathway of the breath, maybe like a river, through the central channel of your body. But let's imagine that central channel beginning now at the left inner heel, up the inseam of your left leg, into the inner belly, through the length of your spine, to the crown of your skull, and beyond your fingertips. And then exhale and bring this in like fetal position. Now we're going to roll to the other side. And so roll yourself onto your back. Check that your Flintstones pillow, your yoga block, is still going to be there. And then roll onto your left. And bring both knees up to your chest to start. The left arm can go out straight. Reach your right arm overhead past your right ear. And then inhale, glide your right knee up to your chest. And exhale, take it long and strong. Inhale, glide in. And be sure to follow your own breath pace. Mine cannot be uniquely also yours. So follow the rhythm that is yours. On the inhale, when your knee is coming up towards your chest, consider how much broadness you can put into the back of your waist. And on the exhale, when you're lengthening your leg out, try to sense that some of that broadness remains. So you're not tipping your lower back into a back bend. We're trying to lengthen the psoas and address also the iliacus muscle. One more time, inhale, bring your right knee up towards your heart. And then exhale to reach. And if the inner edge of your right foot reaches the floor, go ahead and touch it there. If it doesn't, either way, keep the right leg long and reach through your right arm. One more inhale. And then exhale and bring your right arm and your right knee down, almost like fetal position. And then roll onto your back. I hope this is more comfortable than camping. When you roll onto your back, now check and see if you take the arms out into a T shape, how relaxed can the arms be? And I would like you to have your head on your block for this part. Let the shoulders roll back towards the floor. Make your feet as wide as your mat. And tip both knees down to your left. And actively reach from your right low belly, reach through your right thigh into your right knee. So this whole line is getting longer here. And for those who can and whose shoulders feel inspired, you can take the right arm overhead alongside your ear. So this line is not straight per se. The right knee may be in towards the center of your mat. And you are trying to lengthen from inside the iliacus, the psoas, even from your outer right hip, and up into your heart and the upper right chest and lung. And then float your right arm back out to a T. Bring both knees up so your feet are as wide as your mat again. And then take both knees down to your left side. And lengthen from your left inner belly, down through your left hip, through your thigh, like it's a telescope. Reach towards your left knee. Yep. And for those whose shoulders would like to, reach your left arm overhead past your ear. And I expect that you have two different hips and probably two different psoas muscles. Maybe more than two personalities. I'm just teasing you, of course. But accept what is arising in the body, right? Just like in the opening meditation, whatever's coming, the most expansive, benevolent, compassionate essence that we are, there's room for the different waves that come up in the mind, the emotions, the body. And one more time, breathing in. And open your left arm out to the side. Roll your knees up to center. And pause to see how things are feeling. And for those of you who want to experiment, you could check and see if it's possible that now you come comfortably overhead or greater ease in exploring this. And then you can roll to your side and please come up to sitting. Okay. Good morning. Let me pull my hair back. So my hope is that you feel more prepared for what's to come in class, both mentally prepared but also prepared in the breath and the body. So please come up to standing, and you will need 2 blocks. You will not need your 2 blankets at this moment, but I do want you to have 2 blocks. And you're going to need an attitude of appreciation for yourself and your balance. Okay, I'm going to stand on these blocks and let me check and see if my camera's going to be all right. Close enough, but not quite. Let me just get that. Like this. Okay, So you stand on the two blocks, place them so that your feet are going to be a little bit wider than hip distance, almost like there's a third block between the two blocks. I want that space to be there for you because one foot's going to dangle between the blocks. Okay. So inhale, raise your arms up like upward hands pose. Put your body weight into your right leg, so tone your right hip and shift over so that the left leg is dangling. And I do want you to have the right leg toned and strong, especially your right outer hip. Lower your right arm down and begin to side bend to your right. And let the left leg be heavy. It's dangling like a house plant. You know, the dangling sort of vine of the house plant. And yes, you are practicing your balance right there. And you may feel the left iliacus, left side of the diaphragm, maybe the left psoas. Reach down through your left heel more actively now, so less like a dangling plant. Maybe more like if you had an ankle weight on your left ankle. And then raise up with your torso, your right arm. Keep the right butt and hip strong. And place your left foot back on that block. Shift over so your left leg is going to be your primary balance support now. Let the right leg just dangle at first, right? And then left arm down. Side bending. Yep. Reach long through your right side. And then not just dangling, but now reach through your right heel as if there were an ankle weight or you had a kind miniature-sized assistant and they're just giving a little traction down on your right heel. And then rising up, you have to keep the left butt strong, take the left arm up, and shift your foot back over. And release both arms down. Pause for a moment right there. Okay, so now we're going to have a practice that if you were at the studio in the last couple of years, we did do practices like this, and we are going to be on these blocks. And if you were not at the studio, you may have to watch me a little bit to see where we're going. So keeping the feet wide as if there was a block between them. Raise both arms up as you inhale. This is a kind of sun salutation. Shift into your right and bring your left knee up. Now inhale here. And then exhale, bend your right knee, lower your right arm, reach your left arm forward, take the toes of the left foot back, and as they touch to the floor, then inhale, rise up, crescent lunge. And then exhale, reach your right arm down, bring your torso forward. And inhale now, rise up, left knee to your chest and right knee, left knee to your chest, right arm overhead. And then touching down. And release. Okay, second side. So inhale, raise your arms up. Shift your weight to your left, pick up your right knee. Now, reaching back, so it's going to be your left arm down, right leg back, and the right toes are looking for the floor. And then inhale, rise, crescent lunge. And exhale, left arm forward, right arm stays forward. And now inhale, rise up and you scissor your arms and legs back up. And place your right foot, lower your arms. Those are our dance steps. Palms together, please. Okay, inhale, Ujjayi. Exhale to your right leg, left knee up. Now inhale, glide. Exhale, touch the left toes down. Inhale to rise. glide forward, right arm back. Inhale, rise, left knee up. Exhale. Good. Inhale. And exhale, shift, raise your right knee. Now here's an inhale. It takes us to a balancing moment. Exhale, right toes down. Inhale, rise. Exhale, forward. Lower your left arm back. Inhale, rise up. Exhale. Again. Right leg, left knee. Inhale. The right knee is going to be bent here, and this is a balance pose. And then exhale, left toes down. Good job. Inhale to rise. Exhale, reach forward. Right arm slides back. Inhale, glide up. Exhale. Good. Okay, last one. Inhale. Exhale, left leg, right knee. Inhale, balance pose. Bend your left knee. Exhale, right toes down. Inhale, rise. Exhale, forward. Glide your left arm back. Inhale, float up. Exhale. And just pausing to reflect what surfaced for you in the munchkins of the mind. How did you stay present? Benevolent or spacious? How did you stay grounded? And step backwards off of your blocks. Notice what that's like to come back down to the regular ground. And then let's put the 2 blocks for Surya Namaskar. And step forward. Join your hands together. Press into all 10 toes, and as with just a couple days ago, we were really looking at mountain pose. I think it was on Monday. When you press down with your toes, lift your arches and root your heels. Try to stand in the plumb line that includes the central channel, which is really from your pelvic floor to the crown and beyond. But let's also have it include your legs, your inner arches. Bring the Ujjayi breath in, please. And then in pace with your breath cycle, inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Chair pose. Now the central channel continues in chair pose. It's not a straight line per se, but it continues. So inner arches, inner thighs, pelvic floor. The inner subtle movement of the spine, beyond the crown of your skull, beyond your fingers. And inhale, rise up, upward hands pose. And exhale, bow forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, glide forward from your inner arches to your inner thighs, and then the length of the spine. Be aware of the entire system. Exhale to bow towards your legs. Even here, the inner arches are still a part of your system. Once more, inhale to glide forward. Exhale, step your left toes back. Press into your left fingertips. Inhale, twist right. And exhale, level off to airplane pose. Inhale, rise, crescent lunge. Exhale, airplane pose. Inhale, rise, crescent lunge, palms together overhead. Check from the left inner arch up to your fingers. There's a whole system, a line of support. Airplane pose. One more time, inhale to rise. And exhale to descend, so airplane pose, and then lightly touch the two blocks and inhale, step forward, Ekapada Uttanasana. And exhale to bow towards your right leg. Inhale, glide your heart forward. And now when you place your left foot down with the exhale, it's my sincere hope that your left leg simply glides into position. Not that you have to jostle the hips about to get it to come back. Root your heels, inhale, rise up, Urdhva Hastasana. And exhale, hands to your heart. Continuing, inhale, inner arches, inner thighs, central channel reaching up. Exhale, chair pose. Inhale to lift. Exhale, bow forward, keep the inner arches, inner thighs stable, so everything is working together in harmony. Inhale, glide forward. Exhale, right toes back, press into your right fingertips. And inhale, twist left. And exhale, level this off to airplane pose without collapsing into your left hip. Inhale, crescent lunge, raise your arms overhead like an arrow. Exhale, airplane pose. And check your connection from your right big toe to your right inner arch, to your right inner thigh, rising up. Right inner thigh, pelvic floor, central channel, and up and beyond. Exhale, airplane pose. One more time, inhale to rise. And then exhale, arms wide, and touch the two blocks lightly. Now inhale, step forward, so your right leg may be horizontal to the floor, Ekapada Uttanasana. And then exhale to bow towards your left leg. And inhale, glide your heart forward, come up to your fingertips. And then place your right foot down. I hope it glides right into place there. And then bow towards the legs. The inhale, sweep up. And exhale, come to your heart. Drop your attention down to your arches and let your awareness come up the inner edges of the legs to your pelvic floor and then up the front line of the spine through the crown of your skull and beyond. So now we're going to include a variation on triangle pose. So inhale, sweep the arms up, Urdhva Hastasana. Please energize your legs. And exhale, Uttanasana, chair pose. Inhale, rise up. Check in from your big toes to your inner arches, up through the central line of your body. And exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, glide forward. Now step your left toes back and place them off to the left side of your mat. So you're really, if your mat had lines on it, you're on this wide strip on the left side of your mat with your left foot. And then put both blocks on the inside and go like this, toe, heel, toe out to the side. So your right leg is going to go sideways like this. And let's just begin with keeping the pelvis centered. So your right foot is on the wide side of your mat, the left foot's on the wide side of the mat. Center your pelvis and take a deep breath in. Now with an exhale, press down through your right leg to slowly straighten, and you should be able to see your inner arch. We want that to stay lifted. Lengthen the inseam of your right leg and tone your right outer hip. Press into both arms, and as you lift the low belly in, rotate your pelvis around the strength of your right leg. So do not let the turning of the pelvis make the right leg go sideways. And then inhale to open to this variation of Trikhanasana. And even though we might become sort of bedazzled with what's happening here with the left arm, the chest and the shoulder, put your mind into your right big toe. Lift your right inner arch. Tone the right inner thigh. Squeeze your right outer hip, outer thigh. Root your tailbone firmly down so you are strengthening your back leg, but that inner arch also stays lifted. And then see to what extent the sail of the chest, of your heart, and your triangle pose could open. I'm going to recommend that you keep the right arm strong, but also allow your body to improvise. Keep the legs strong. So the three pillars that are holding you up right now, right arm, left leg, right leg, they are steady. The upper chest, heart, your head, your left arm can improvise. When you next exhale, begin your own process for coming slowly down to touch the left hand back to its block. Come to your fingertips with both hands. And now pivot the left heel up so your foot again is on the wide side of your mat. Bend your right knee, goes out to the side. And you can decide if coming down to your elbows makes sense for your right hip. This is kind of a made-up yoga pose, and people have added names to these poses, but I don't know what the popular kids are calling this. I don't know what it is. To me, it's a side cart lunge with the elbows on blocks. Now breathing in, we are going to transition, so place your right hand and your left hand on the blocks, and let's go toe, heel, so the right foot and block can switch positions, and step backwards to downward dog pose. And notice the difference in downward dog pose. Just notice, without a particular story about your right leg or your left leg, notice the difference between them right now. What is happening? And then scooch your right toes to the right side of your mat. So it's going to have the same position that you had just a moment ago. Step your left foot forward between the two blocks, because that's an easier transition to make. And then you're going to switch them. So you go toe, heel, toe. Take the left leg out to the side like this. And starting on your fingertips, maybe an easier place to begin. Try to center your pelvis so it's in the center of the mat this way. Notice the strength from your right inner arch to your right upper inner thigh. That's your back leg right now. And then press down to the left big toe. Check your inner arch there. And as you begin to straighten your left leg, make it longer, stronger. It's not that you're rolling out to the outer heel so much as that you're lifting the inner arch through here. Now I'm going to ask you to press down through both arms and think of the lower belly like cat pose, so that when you turn your pelvis around the strength of your left thigh, you are not jostling your left thigh about. And rotate to open. Your right heel can come down to the floor behind you. It has a little angle, something like this. And you can open to Trikhanasana. And in this triangle pose, so long as the three pillars, that is both legs and your left arm, so long as they're very stable, your breath is smooth, your mind is benevolent, then you can begin to improvise. Let yourself move through what your body inspires from you. You may not even know. You might get the news just as you're getting it, just as your body is delivering it. You follow your own pathway down using an exhale for your descent, maybe several exhales. And then roll your right heel up from the floor, bend your left knee, and consider coming down to your elbows in this left side angled lunge thing on your elbows, on your blocks. Notice the tone and the pace of your breath here. And then placing your hands for firm support. You've got the right hand on its block. The left foot is the one we're going to move, but keep the right leg steady and go toe, heel, and then step backwards to downward dog pose and bring both feet into hip distance. And then roll forward, plank pose. Now in your plank pose, I'm going to ask you to connect again from your inner arches through the inseam of the legs, through the central channel of the spine. And see if you can tap into the place deeper than any of the parts of who you are. Your essential nature that is benevolent, grace-filled, non-judging, courageous. And then lightly touch your knees down. And using one block for your head, please come to child's pose. And let's do palms face up. The support for your head in child's pose is my preference for many months now that we've been doing it this way, so that your hips actually can settle back down to your heels a little more comfortably, and your head is kind of in line with your heart and your spine. But I also like how when you then put the elbows to the floor, the upper back can kind of broaden or cascade open, as if the shoulder blades could melt around the rib cage a bit. Yeah. Okay, now with these two blocks that you have, please walk your hands back to your knees. You may choose to use a blanket under your head. You'll see the two blocks go like this, and you're going to be placing the back of the elbow right here on the blocks. And I'm going to ask you to put your hands, first palms face up, see that the arms are parallel, then put the fingertips to press against each other like this, so that your arms stay more or less parallel here. And then hopefully you start with your elbows somewhere in the center of those blocks, so they're not going to be tippy. Walk your knees back a little ways and come into this sort of puppy dog pose thing. And your head You can hover your head here between your upper arms, or you could place your blankets to give a support to your head. But I do prefer that you don't just hang the head down towards the floor like this. So either lift the base of your skull and support the weight of your head from inside the throat and the neck, or put your blankets to support your head. And then try to sense the breath, the possibility your breath has right now. And this is a very important position because your lungs are a little bit inverted. The arms are in a position where you cannot initiate your breath with the chest. You have to initiate with the diaphragm, your primary breathing muscle. And yet you can bring the breath up into the upper back and the back of your heart. And then roll forward onto your forearms. Walk your knees forward. Take one of your blocks and sit in zazen. Like, sit on it like this, like Japanese style Zen meditation. Rest your hands in your lap. Notice what's happening within you. We're going to do one more thing for the lower body, and then I'm going to ask us to get these two blankets again for a pranayama experience that I want you to be able to have. And I'm smiling about this this one more thing because we were doing a practice like this several times, maybe up until or during the fires, I can't remember. So take a seat on your two blocks as if you were sitting around a campfire. So you sit down like this. It's like squatting, but you have two blocks. This campfire is very contemporary. You have your yoga blocks there. And walk the feet and knees out so you have that same diagonal that you just had a moment ago. Place the elbows inside the knees. Bring your palms together. And then slowly you can go to just the knuckles, or you can go to the fingerprints. So that means that the elbows start going wider and the knees are encouraged to also go wider. And bring the torso down a little bit forward. My hope is that you're sensing your inner thighs and that you're smiling at them. And place your hands down around your ankles or your feet. Press out with your elbows. Come forward and long with your torso. And then rise up to sitting. Now take the soles of the feet and see if you could put them together. And I think I've said this before, in case you weren't here, it's worth me saying it again. I do not have flexible toes or ankles, so this is really hard for my feet. May not be the same for yours, but you're trying to have the heels touch, and then the mounds of the big toes would touch. Mine don't go there readily at all, because my toes aren't very bendy. And then you take the hands behind the ankles, and you try to make the ankles come more upright. So you are probably feeling your inner thighs stretch to some extent. Press the knees out wide. Smile at your own awkwardness if that's what's happening. Keep lengthening the inner thighs out towards the knees. And then slip your hands out from there. Now, take your arms forward, and let's just imagine this first, that you're going to be like one of those, the stone carvings in the sides of the temples. You're soon going to be balancing on just your toes, and the knees are going to be out to the side, and you'll have this pleasant look on your face, and you'll be meditating. Okay, so come forward if possible, so your hips come off of the blocks. Try to keep your heels up so they're under your pelvic floor, and the pelvic floor is over the heels. They're not touching per se. Balancing. Press your knees out. Please do not arch your lower back to try to balance here. And then see if you might raise your arms up overhead. Again, without arching your lower back. This is not a back bend pose. Lengthen down through your tailbone. Lift up with the pubic bone. Smile again at your efforts. And then as you lower the arms down, glide your hips back to their support. Bring the palms together. Yeah, so you're like a stone carving on the side of a temple. And then release. Bring your knees in. Place your feet where you prefer to have them. And come forward, almost like child's pose. Bring your arms over so the armpits can go over the knees. You can let the body rest right there. And then rise up to sitting as if you're at the campfire. I'm sorry we didn't get to go camping together this summer. So much going on. So we're going to do 3-part breathing now, which is Viloma Pranayama. We're going to do it with the inhale using the 2 blankets. So please put your blocks aside. Keep them close by. But take these 2 blankets down your mat once more. And then you're going to lie down. So you're sitting in front of, not on the blankets, like this. Lie back. This is a back bend right now. But if you reach up and take the blanket under your head, this second blanket on top, and if you lift your head and fold this under for this one, then your head is going to be higher than your heart, and the back bend that you just had, I hope that feels more comfortable. If it doesn't, of course, you can use what I call your booster seat. Some of you know what that means. You're putting an extra, like a small blanket under your hips and pelvis. Or you can just go to 1 blanket if you prefer. Otherwise, you can use the 2 blankets, because we're going to have the inhale to the first third of the torso here. Then there'll be a pause. Then we inhale to the mid-torso. We'll have a pause. Then we'll inhale up to the heart. And we'll pause. And then we'll exhale from the bottom up. Okay, so palms out, face up. Please close your eyes. And my recommendation when you do this is, if you count an easy mathematical count, you can do inhale 3, pause for 3, inhale 3, pause for 3, 3 times, first, middle, and upper. And then we'll exhale for 9. I find that to be the easiest to keep track of for right now. Okay, so at your own timing, begin with inhale 3 counts into the lowest third of the pelvis and torso. And then pause for 3. Then inhale for 3 counts into the mid-ribs mid-torso. And pause for 3. And then inhale up into the heart and your collarbones. And pause for 3 counts. And then exhale, starting at the base of the pelvis, exhale for 9 counts. And try that 4 times more. And the count that you use for 3 should be the pace that you can do. So if you're counting more slowly, all good. If you're counting a little bit quicker, just don't make yourself breathless, please. And twice more. Last one. Now let the arms relax and stretch your legs straight out on the floor. And I should have said this before, so you might need to get your yoga Sherpa in action here, but this is an ideal time to put your sandbag on your lap and then to cover at least your legs with a blanket. And that might mean that you need to ask for help in your home, the dog, the cat, the other human. Or roll to your side and reach for your sandbag and your blanket. And that's to ground the dosha called Vata. We don't want the Vata nature of the mind to take over in Shavasana. And visualize your arms and your legs getting heavy with relaxation. So grounding the dosha of Vata, this time of year, it's really helpful to think about when in the ancient forest the tree has fallen and then it becomes a nurse log for the other needs of the forest. So in this way, that tree is life-giving, even as it fades from being an upright tree. So here in Shavasana, what you could imagine is that from the back of your heels, the back of your calves, the backs of your thighs, from where your hands and elbows and forearms are touching the floor, imagine how roots would eventually grow down into the earth. And let your limbs become very still and heavy again with relaxation. Invite your mind to deeply rest inside the process of your limbs getting heavier, more profoundly relaxed. Just see yourself watching the process, observing the most benevolent and spacious part of you, observing this process. Allow your limbs to get heavier, for your mind to be completely restful, observing the process from that in you which is most benevolent, most spacious. Allow that heaviness to go a few degrees more deeply by releasing your mind. Release any residual tension in your arms or legs. As your limbs get a little heavier, check that you might soften the tongue, the hinge of your jaw, the corners of your eyes, and your senses, rather than being your senses, they are simply the sense of life happening through you. Like life borrowing you through which to see, to hear, to taste, to smell, to touch. In the same way that life and compassion, they borrow you for the expression of compassion. It comes through your heart, can come through your arms to your hands, the way you touch and hold, through your thoughts into your speech and your actions. And sensing how this is that we are recipients of this grace, these opportunities. I'm going to ask you to wiggle your fingers. Keep your legs steady. Raise your arms and see now to what extent your arms, when they go overhead, what's different here. You may release the arms and shoulders, and let's just, if you have a sandbag, place it to the side. And then knees up to your chest and roll down to your right. Rest there. Let your body acclimate. And then you can use both hands to bring yourself back up to sitting. And sit in whatever way is most comfortable and suited for you. And imagine the senses again, experiencing life really coming through. Not like what you are seeing, what you are hearing, what you are tasting, but it's coming through. And please bring your hands together at your heart. You can sing with me. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for being here, for being someone who wants to connect in this way and be the most vibrant and present and benevolent version of yourself. Thank you. Namaste. I am also enriched by you being here. I'm going to come up to see you a little closer. How are you doing? See if I can get myself to see, you can see me better, just one moment. Yeah, here it is. Okay. So how are you? Much has changed since the beginning of the class, right? Thank you for your beautiful notes. Oh yeah, our air quality is much better, Kira. Thank you for asking. Yeah, we're able to go outside again and also to, go to the forest and exercise and give gratitude for what wasn't damaged by the fires. Yeah.